Magic is a powerful thing. Its will made manifest through the process of words and symbols. So how do the greatest mages in comics cast spells of power? Here's the greatest spellcasters in comics and their various techniques. I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast. Maybe the most famous spellcaster in DC Comics, Zatanna, says all of her spells verbatim backwards, but there's a reason for this. Her father, Zatanna, was also a magician, who was a stage magician and an actual detective, and he would perform spells by speaking them backwards to invoke his very real magical power. He's also the very first superhero sorcerer because he appeared in Action Comics #1 in 1938 alongside the very first appearance of Superman. Zatanna passed his legacy to his sorcerer daughter when he literally burned to death, saving her and the Earth from the Great Beast. Zatanna has since gone on to aid as a member of the Justice League and Justice League Dark. Stephen Strange invokes the power of extra-dimensional beings of incredible power to cast his spells. In Marvel, a lot of objects have their own magic power, and a few characters can draw on spiritual power or totemic powers or ghosts, what have you, but mostly Strange and others invoke things like the Vishanti, the Faltine, and others for power. All of these spells cost something to cast, and most of these creatures aren't real benevolent. Creatures like the Faltine, of whom Dormammu is one, are outright hostile, and as is Sidorak, the god of rage and hatred and domination that not only fuels Strange's Crimson Bands, but also the power of the Juggernaut. So Victor Von Doom is a total badass. He's a scientist, a dictator, a genius, and also a sorcerer. His skills rival that of Doctor Strange, but his style of magic is entirely different. He doesn't necessarily invoke other beings all the time, as much as he seems to use sigils. One time he made rune-covered armor made of human flesh just to gain additional magical power. But in 2010, Dr. Doom was visited by a being called the Marquis of Death, who was insanely magically powerful, who sent him millions upon millions of years back in time to the past and threw him into the mouth of a Carcharodon, a giant shark. But Doom cast a spell of protection and longevity on himself and survived the shark and the next millions upon millions of years, teaching himself every arcane power in history and made himself the apprentice of the Marquis of Death, whom he then killed and informed Reed Richards that he was now unstoppably magically powerful, godlike, and then Marvel put another creative team on the Fantastic Four after Mark Millar, and they never spoke of that again. With the staff of one, Nico Minoru can cast literally any spell she could possibly think of, anything. The thing is, she can only cast that spell once. As such, her power is limited not just by her vocabulary, but by her imagination. Dr. Fate is the name of various people who have worn the Helmet of Fate, an Egyptian artifact possessed by the god Nabu. The helmet grants its wearer superhuman abilities at a cost. Now, flight, strength, speed, energy manipulation, all of those are part of the deal, but also it lets the wielder cast various magical energies and spells, most of which are invoked through the symbol of the Ankh. Now, the Ankh is an ancient Egyptian symbol with various purported origins and purposes. Basically, it became associated with life and protection and the god Horus, but early on it was symbolically associated with procreation, sexual power, and the associated magical concepts because it was probably a depiction of male and female parts engaged in. Anyway, Dr. Fate is basically hitting you with malevolent, ancient pornography. From a circle of hell of rhyming demons, Etrigan is bonded to former Camelot Knight of the Round Table Jason Blood. And because of that demonic infusion, Blood has lived for thousands of years and now makes his home in Gotham City, the same as Batman. But summoning Etrigan, the demon, by saying, "Gone, gone, form of man, arise the demon Etrigan," right? Because it rhymes. Etrigan often spits fire, uses claws, sometimes he'll eat people even, but when he casts spells, he does so by rapping, basically, which is something he's always doing. He's basically a rapping demon. But what happens when Jason Blood and Etrigan actually switch places? Etrigan ends up going where Jason was, to Gotham City. But Jason goes where Etrigan was, hell. Basically, he has to chill out in hell until Etrigan decides to let him come back. It's like Ladyhawke, but way, way, way worse. Anyway, those are some of the greatest spellcasters in Marvel and DC Comics. I've been Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast.